So we are back with Will from Tesla Jigsaw, and today we're asking, Bentley, are they doomed? Boy, it's a tough question. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. Will, so good to have you back again.
Hello, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing great. Will's got Tesla Jigsaw. We met in Farnborough, England, at the UK Owners Club booth there at Fully Charged. Fully Charged was so great. Will also went to Fully Charged North, and he's got a great recap of that. Looks like a much smaller, quieter event. Is that the case?
I thought it was, can I say, much better, actually. It was just in the countryside. It was quiet. There was no aeroplanes going above, as there was at Farnborough, because it's on an airport. Yeah, it was beautiful, just spacious and very relaxed vibe to it. Very chill. It's nice.
Yeah. And Will does very high, what I'd consider very high production value stuff. Makes me a bit jealous. If I had an editor, that's what I would be doing.
Don't get too excited if anyone goes to my channel and has a look.
Guys, he's only got 1,110 subscribers as of now. Let's change that. Let's fix it. Yeah. With that said, Bentley. Do you know who owns Bentley? It's Volkswagen, isn't it? Yeah. That's pretty crazy. I wonder when that happened. But Bentley was a diminishing brand. They were ripe for a buyout, and Volkswagen's ability to use shared platforms made it cost-effective for them to buy out the brand. Because putting big, cushy couches in a car is not as expensive as Bentley might have you think, and luxury is a pretty easy formula. As long as the money's there, you can put in luxury. So in terms of engineering, Bentley is looking to make their first EV. Their first. They don't have one yet. It'll pack up to 1,400 horsepower and do 0 to 60 in a second and a half, with a slower option at a paltry 2.7 seconds, if you only like your lunch coming halfway up. But even at 2.7, that's very, very fast. That'll still tuck your face fat back around the back of your head, which is nice. And this is a beautiful design, but it's a concept. I'm definitely concerned with their engineering on account of the fact that they haven't built one yet. Bentley is also owned by Volkswagen Group, so I imagine it will have a shared drivetrain with that. The advantage that they have in terms of their electrical engineering, I'd say, is, Volkswagen bought Rimac. Are you familiar with Rimac and their Nevera?
Yeah.
It is a very fast drivetrain. The only concern I have with any drivetrain that fast is it may be that what they're showing you is the uncorked version, which would not have the longevity you need to make it a daily driver. So in terms of their engineering, they're saying it'll only cost $262,000. But also, to say that it'll do 1.5 seconds, I think is aspirational.
I wonder how much it weighs.
It's got to weigh 4 tons if it can do that, just to keep that much rubber on the ground, because there are limits to the physics of how fast you can go, of how quick you can go, and still maintain traction. It's really tough. So it's very hard to establish a baseline for how good is their engineering when they haven't built it yet.
Indeed. And if it's got something to do with Volkswagen, it will be running Volkswagen software?
Absolutely.
And which company is going to be ahead of that now? Now that the software team, I believe, have all just been fired from Cariad, who were the software team in control of Volkswagen software. So would Bentley be trying to find some brand new software company to make the whole thing work?
Well, they're saying it'll arrive in 2025. Now, do they mean the end of 2025 is in the 2026 model year, which would give them 3 years to get all their ducks in a row? Maybe.
Well, it only took Tesla 19 years of working on its software, didn't it? So I'm sure Bentley will just be able to do it in a few weeks, maybe, just like the rest of Volkswagen.
You just order it. Yeah. Well, if Volkswagen software comes around, which it will eventually, then Bentley's will at the same time. It's tricky because it's not just the infotainment we're talking about. It's the battery management. It's the thermal management. It's, to a lesser extent, the traction control. I think they've probably got that dialed in so far. But all these systems need to work together too. So there's a lot of opportunity for it to not do a good job, which they are discovering. Because I talked with Jan from Tesla Fix, and he confirmed that, to his understanding, Volkswagen did hire 10,000 software engineers, which is the incorrect number. That is the incorrect number. I don't know what the correct number is, but that makes no sense at all. Why would you do that? So for engineering, it's tough. We've got the quality of Volkswagen. We can look at the Taycan for a baseline, I guess. And its engineering is quite good. I think this would be as good as that. I think it would be at least as competent as Volkswagen Group's other EVs. Even though it's speculative, I'm going to give it a high mark. I'm going to give it a 6.
Well, aspirationally, I can give it a 5, really. I mean, it's
unknown, but what we do know is that it'll be good. The engineering will be good. The luxury will be there. Limited production. I don't know how well they're going to dial in all the things like panel gaps and fit and finish. And as a early first generation of a vehicle, you're likely to have some hiccups in terms of actually getting it to work right. But yeah, I think that's reasonable.
I think every time a new electric car comes out, my hopes are it's going to be a great car, and then I see it or I drive it and it's mediocre and disappointing. As I've not really been blown away by anything in the electric car world, apart from Tesla, obviously. Or the ID3.
What amazed me in England, where we met, was that on the panels, the speakers, they would always ask them, "Oh, and what do you drive?" And not as many drove Teslas as I expected, because I'm from the US, where Tesla's market share is absolutely outsized in the EV space. And all kinds of people, they had Renault Zoes, they had ID3s, they had BYDs. And it was just interesting to me to see a place where Tesla is more or less just a car.
Yeah, there's certainly more of them now than ever before. I mean, we can't play Spot the Tesla anymore, even in our little market town village where we live. There's just too many here, but certainly there's so many. I mean, Kias and Hyundais are really popular here. Volvo electric cars, Mercedes. Yeah, there's so much choice now.
Yeah.
But having driven, I'm not driven like all of them yet, but working my way through them, there's just, they've all got compromises.
And you've got a lot of cars we don't have. We don't have the Renault Zoe. We don't have the Honda Fit. We don't have the BYD or the Aura. So there's more choices.
I haven't actually seen a Aura or a BYD on the road yet in England. I hear they're there, but...
In England and Ireland, I saw a surprising number of BZ4X from Toyota. And I think I even might have seen a Subaru Solterra, but I don't recall because it looks so much like the Buzzforks.
Yeah, I'm just amazed that you remember the name of the Toyota.
Yeah, Buzzforks. It's easy.
It's the stupidest name. Why?
It's so ugly. I'm confident they want it to fail.
Yeah, I don't think they would have named it something so forgettable if they wanted to make a memorable car.
Let's talk demand for Bentley. Bentley had their best year ever in 2022. They sold 15,174 units.
Okay, that's more than I thought, to be honest.
That's like a week of production for a normal company.
Yeah.
That's like days of production in some cases.
I didn't know there was that many footballers, to be honest. Maybe.
Well, the crazy thing is a third of them went to Simon Cowell. I didn't know that he was in the market, but apparently so. So for demand, I'm going 2, because that is a very, very small. That is a tiny, tiny market.
Oh, this is nice and exclusive, though, isn't it? You know,
It is exclusive.
Yeah.
You know what? You're right. I'm going to bump it to 3 because there are people who will buy it just so they can.
yeah. Why not? I'm gonna give it a generous 4.
Wow.
I think,
that's
yeah.
That's
Yes,
great.
it's too generous.
Well, because it doesn't matter what they cost, they'll sell them.
yeah.
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 So I think that's reasonable in terms of the demand.
And I appreciate the uniqueness of them as well. I mean, Bentley's been around for a long time.
And their artwork, they're
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And they are performance by any metric.
And I like the
I mean-
performance. I mean, if you can do 1.5 seconds in a Bentley, that's rather impressive.
Yeah. And they've always been, for their weight, very powerful vehicles. Now we're looking at things like cost controls and cash on hand. And for that, we go up to the parent company, Volkswagen, where you have a lot more research done, a lot more experience. So when we're looking at quarterly growth, they're still growing. When we look at things like cash flow, there's still positive cash flow. I think for cost controls, they're doing pretty good. They do have...
Sorry, is this Volkswagen as a whole, as a group?
As a whole, because they're the parent company. So we're talking about... Now, Volkswagen has said they plan to spend $193 billion on their electrification ambitions, which I think is a very big number. That number is so large that it bumps them down in my estimation in terms of cost controls.
Yeah.
Because just like the 10,000 programmers, I think that number is the wrong number.
Yeah. So then just not forgetting the original $260 billion of debt that they had before the $193 billion.
So when I was looking at that, and we talked about this with Tesla Fix before, it's a hotly debated number.
Yeah.
I've seen numbers as high as 430 billion, but that includes all of their leasing debt, which is recourse debt, which is something that doesn't come back on them. So I guess for them it's non-recourse because it's all secured by the value of the vehicles. If you look at their debt to equity, it's I think 1.1 or 1.05, which is well within industry averages. So the debt number, while not ideal, is not as crippling as it looks. But comparing that to their $193 billion electrification ambition, it starts to look a little batty.
Yeah, and which, by the way, of that 193 billion, I do understand that a third of that is going towards their new ICE engines over the next 4.5 years, which is just utterly depressing. So when you've got a company that's, with a global ICE market collapsing and EV sales are soaring, and you're investing into more ICE engines, all the way up to the moment where you won't be allowed to sell them in Europe or China, your biggest markets. It's not going to end very well, I don't think, for Volkswagen. A
point I've seen was that, well, there'll still be huge markets in Latin America and Africa. And it's like, right, but those are low margin continents. Those are places where you don't need a 2026 engine to sell in Africa. A 1990 engine would do the trick. If you're trying to maximize profits and survive.
Yeah.
So now that you mention, that they're still developing new ICE technology, that bumps them down even further in my cost control estimation.
I may be wrong on this, but as far as I'm aware from my limited research, Volkswagen makes 50% of its profits in China. But right now, the demand is collapsing in China due to Chinese manufacturers plus Tesla starting the price war. So, and they sell 40% of their cars there. So with the debt, with their very bad strategy of, continuing internal combustion engines into the future, then on top of that, you've got, do you remember when Herbert Diess was interviewing the top 200 executives of Volkswagen? 200 executives. You just think, how can you turn the Titanic and you've got to convince that many people that the ship's going down? I don't see how Volkswagen can get away. I don't think they'll survive personally. They might take down Bentley and everyone else with them, but I'm sure the government will bail them out.
I'm sure they would if it happens. Yeah, that's too many oarmen rowing in different directions.
Yes,
we need all of you guys Yeah, no, but we're all on the same side. Right, you're on the right side of the boat. We're going in circles.
That's it. Yeah, and I think the only hope then is for Volkswagen and the whole company as a whole is dependent on this new MEB platform, which is going to be the platform for the ID2, which is not due out until 2026, and then even that is a very cheap, supposedly, car. I mean, how are they going to make enough profit from that? It's going to take them years. I don't.
Yeah.
By the time the Model 2 has come out, Tesla's little fella, whatever they flipping well call it, then it may even make the ID2 obsolete before it's even released.
Well, I hope they call it the Tesla Q. That way, every time people tweet about Tesla Q, it leads you to the car instead of the clowns.
That would be awesome, yeah.
That would be awesome. So what are you giving them for cost controls?
2.
Ooh, savage. And my opinion of Volkswagen's prospects shifted dramatically after I watched the panel that Lars did at Fully Charged. They were talking about China is not just coming, it's already here.
Yeah.
And when we looked at all the new models, all the new manufacturers, it became clear that Volkswagen has a difficult road ahead. So let's talk about cash on hand. They had $75 billion as recently as a year ago, and now they're down at $57 billion, which is not the direction you like to see, but they are building out new factories. They are investing in technology, and $57 billion is still a substantial pile of money, though Tesla has over $20 billion with 20% of the production. They've got a lot of factories they're going to need to retool or rebuild.
Something like 100, I think. Yeah, 100 factories, I think.
I don't know. I know Ford has 60 assembly plants to make 6 million cars, which, if you do the math, is bad. The $57 billion cash on hand compared to a $193 billion objective is terrifying. So,
yes.
So even though this is an absolute mountain of cash, they're not going to get the highest marks from me. What are you thinking on cash on hand? I'm going to give them I think a pretty generous 6.
Yeah, I just can't get this debt around my head. I mean, to owe more money than Russia in debt and to owe more money than most countries, despite they have some cash, it's just that they need to do so much to transform their entire business and all the car companies they own. It's what a challenge. And what a shame Herbert Diess was just I thought he was the only hope. He would have been what Jim Farley is right now to Ford. Jim Farley's nailing it, and I'm so pleased for Ford. The fact, and that's what Volkswagen should have done. They should have just split their business in 2, let one die, and then just grow the electric version. But they've already they did have a battery facility plant that was scheduled for Europe that Volkswagen have just cancelled. But now they are looking to build one in Canada. But I just think it's too little too late from the whole company.
So for cash on hand?
Yeah, cash on hand. I don't know, 4. They've got some cash, I suppose.
So now we get to talk about the roadmap. Now, this is not Volkswagen. This is back to Bentley.
Yeah.
Bentley lays out roadmap for complete EV adoption by 2030. They plan to invest $3.4 billion over the next 10 years. Okay, that's past 2030, to make its historic Crewe manufacturing plant EV compatible. They'll spend, to move part of its 102-year-old company's plan. Can't call the company 102. That's fine. The company said it will embed an industry-leading greenfield facility into an advanced manufacturing facility in Crewe, Cheshire, England. Did I say it right?
Cheshire, yeah.
Yeah. Close enough. Crowded luxury field. Once Bentley, the 14th most expensive luxury brand in the world, does enter the EV race, it will have to work to gain some traction. Bentley has hybrids already on the road. I did not know that. Bentley already offers a hybrid version of the Bentayga SUV for $160,000. Not bad for a Bentley. And a hybrid version of its Flying Spur sedan for a little over $200,000. So Bentley's roadmap, 2030, I can't give them the highest marks because that's a very great goal to have, but you still have 0, which leads me to be skeptical of this number.
Yes.
Yes.
With 0 cars on them. Yeah, of course, by 2030, every car sold in the UK will have to be electric or hybrid. So, in theory, it still could be hybrid.
Yes.
Which is disappointing too. Is not necessarily, they're not fully committed to a fully electric vehicle, are they?
In China, the rule is if it's a hybrid, it has to be capable of a certain distance before the motor kicks on. So it can't be like some American hybrids where if you just hit the pedal too hard, the motor comes on. It has to actually have a real EV range. If they take that approach, if that's the approach they already have, which I don't think it is, I'm sure the hybrids they have now switch between. And I think a hybrid takes away from the luxury experience. Having a motor that's on sometimes is distracting. But I guess if we're counting hybrids, then they do already have some vehicles on the road. That's something, I guess. And it does improve fuel economy while only doubling the complexity of the vehicle. So for roadmap, I'm teetering between a 6 and a 7. Their stated goal is good, but their execution is uncertain. What are you thinking?
I've heard too many false promises from car companies. Clearly, I'm far more miserable in my points, aren't I? So
Yeah.
I think I'll give them a generous 5, but yeah, I'm not holding my breath for great things. I'd rather be pessimistic and wrong than optimistic and right. Is that right?
That sounds right to me.
Yeah, one of those.
This gives them a score of 46, which is pretty bad. It puts them ahead of Jaguar and Lucid, but behind Rivian and Nikola. But Nikola is an out-of-date rating. Nikola's rating was from before they canceled production of the electric truck and said we're going to only do fuel cell trucks, and they're out of cash and they're out of time. So Nikola is a lot more doomed than this chart might suggest.
Right.
So they've got, Bentley well into the bottom half of the chart here, but above Jaguar, Lucid, and VinFast. Okay, so that is pretty good, I guess. Maybe not the best. They can survive if the will is there, but they've got to actually produce is what they have to do. So with that said, I do
start, wouldn't it? Yeah, sorry.
they could start. Yeah. I do want to thank my patrons who get early access, bonus content, and are the reason this channel is able to exist, because YouTube is famously the devil. I do want to remind you that what you need to do is go over to Tesla Jigsaw and check out Will's channel and show him some love, because that's
Thanks
what we
so
do
much.
around here. Yeah.
Very
And for everyone
kind of
else, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Leave it in the comments, because surely we missed something. Looking at the AI images here, this one looks like an Audi crossed with a Batmobile. That's kind of nice. This one, well, we're back to having creepy alien monsters on the roof. That's a thing. These ones came out pretty good. You know, the horror shows that we sometimes see with these AI images are getting less and less common as it improves. Who knows, maybe someday they'll even have the correct number of fingers on humans instead of thinking them as just bunches like trees or bananas. I don't know how they come, but I've never seen a human in real life, says the AI, apparently. Yeah, so check it out. Let us know. Get in touch. You never call. You never write. Do it all in the comments below. And a big thanks again, Will. I appreciate you being here.
Oh, thanks for the invite. It's been lovely. Anytime.
Yeah. And stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you, clever robots, in the comments.